I would like at this time to thank the Pastor Parish Relations Committee, the St. Paul United Methodist Church staff, and all the members of St. Paul who have worked so hard to make this possible. A number of people have asked me how hard a job it is to be chair of the PPRC. With the committee that I have, that you have this year, is not hard at all. I really appreciate it. I would like to ask Reverend Bill Libby to lead us in our invocation.
I have just been asked how I dared to wear my fatigues to this occasion. And I want to give all of you the good news. I have returned the parsonage to the trustees. It is in good hands. But I also have a present. Dr. Hamblin, you remember that old yellow pickup you used to leave in the driveway?
Yes, sir.
Well, there was one set of keys that was left in the parsonage. Does the new preacher get it?
No! Thank you!
Let's bow in prayer. O Lord our God, you are gracious to all of us, and you have been especially gracious to this congregation. We pause to remember years of service, years of love, years of fellowship, all of those who've come and gone in this congregation and been a part of our lives. And as we celebrate together this afternoon, this joyous occasion of retirement from this congregation, sad as it may be, the joy of retirement from active ministry, and the blessings that you have given to David and Tawanda and their family through the years. We also remember that we will have a new pastor coming, and we want to say welcome to him as well when he arrives. But today we particularly celebrate these years together and pray continued blessings upon David and Wanda in years to come. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Thank you, Bill. No party at St. Paul United Methodist Church is ever complete without the Wildwood Singers.
Dr. Hamblin, we'd like for you to come forward, please. Which is long and hard for you. In spite of the fact that you never ask us to sing for conference, you never ask us to sing when the bishop came, you did not even ask us to sing this morning when you were talking about your very favorite singers. I understand that you told the chairman of the PPR committee that the Wildwood Singers could not sing, and told Linnell Hughes the same thing, and we informed you that you're now has-been and you have to listen to the church. We want you to know that we don't hold it against you that you married a soprano. We're hoping that one of your grandchildren will grow up and see the light and become an alto. For the rest of you, we want you to know that Dr. Hamblin has a special place in our heart. You know, he's really an alto, because an alto never gets to sing the melody, and as far as I know, Dr. Hamblin has never sung the melody. The alto part is always the one that supports all of the other, the melody line and all of the other people. And Dr. Hamblin, you have supported us and you've supported the choir, and we have a presentation to make. So if you'll stand, I'd like to read this citation. No rebuttal. St. Paul Wildwood Singers honorary life membership goes to David Hamblin. Now, David had been given an honorary membership several years before, and since you still have never sung the melody, we thought you probably would deserve a life membership in our organization. For demonstrating excellent support and willingness to listen to our performances, we hereby give you this proclamation. You must know that it is an exemplary proclamation because it is signed by the Easter Bunny. And now we have a special song for you. We don't sing it just for everyone, but this is for you, Dr. Hamblin.
There's a sad sort of whimper from the folks at St. Paul, and the wildwood singers are blue. For up in the belfry an absurd little bird keeps telling us that you are through, are through, are through. Regretfully they tell us, but firmly they compel us to say goodnight to you. So long, farewell, on Peter, say goodbye. We hate to see you leave, we think we'll cry. So long, farewell, au revoir, Peter, say. We wish you'd stay and preach for us again. So long, farewell, au revoir and cheerio. We think, not think, that we will let you go. So long, farewell, I'll Peter saying adieu. We do, 'cause you will not stop missing you. The time has come for us to say goodbye. We leave and leave aside and say goodbye.
We now have some very special music that has never before been performed. Composed, edited, and set to music by our own St. Paul United Methodist Church staff, some members of the congregation, some of whom may want to remain anonymous.
Could I object to this?
Won't do you any good, but yes, you may.
Reed Hunt coined a phrase that we all use every now and then for Dr. Hamblin. He calls him Dr. Hamster, and this song is in memory and honor of that wonderful name.
Who's the leader of the club that's made for you and me? D-O-C-H-A-M-S-T-R. Hey there, hi there, ho there, with the high five and the hug. D-O-C-H-A-M-S-T-R. Dr. Hamster, Dr. Hamster,
That's not a tough act to follow.
Thank you, Jack.
I want to welcome not only the congregation of St. Paul, but the members of other churches that the Hamlin have served over the years. Welcome to you. We're glad that you are here. We want to try to meet each and every one of you. For anyone who has not signed our registration book in the entryway, please do so before you leave as a memento to the Hamlins. Dr. and Mrs. Hamlin have blessed the United Methodist Church for 44 years, and you can multiply that times 2, as Wanda Hamlin has certainly loved us with her own ministry. With no offense to other congregations that they have served, and with no way to measure, I still feel that we at St. Paul received the best 9 years of those 44 years. The sermon this morning spoke of love and commitment. I know of no one who has loved us as a congregation more, or who has been more committed to the ideals of ministry than David and Wanda Hamlin. In the act of farewell, there was a quote that brought to us a new understanding of the Word. It is now our time to return the favor with a few words of love for you. It is my honor to invite all who would like to speak to join me individually or with families at the stage. There is, I think, some seating over here, but if you will approach the stage from my left. I was cautioned about extending the invitation to the other ministers due to the shortage of time, but we are undaunted. All other ministers are indeed invited to speak. Speaking comes from the heart. If you feel the need, I'm sure the Hamlin would like to hear from you. Don't worry about showing emotions up here that you may not want shown. All of us feel the same emotions toward the Hamlins. What I don't want you to do is look back and say, I wish I had said something when the opportunity presented itself. Our first contestant. This doesn't have to be nice.
Well, this morning, I was just getting settled in my seat at church. And I was kind of laying back and my eyes were just about to close. And I heard Howard Tucker's name. And I thought, oh, what have I been called at this time? And come to find out he was talking about me and woke me up and never did go back to sleep.
David, I'll try to give you a little bit of time left. 1980, David went on the Big Spring District. I was serving at La Mesa. I heard that he was coming, so I asked them to move me to Lubbock, and they did. After 2 years, I heard that he was coming on the Lubbock District, and so again I asked them to move me, and they moved me to Seymour. After 2 years down there, over at Seymour, the congregation said that they didn't want a preacher to be there 1 year before they retired, so I left. I came to Abilene and was hired by you, St. Paul, and stayed on the staff for about 3 years. But at the end of my second year here, who comes as senior pastor but David Hamblin? He caught up with me. And a good catch-up it was, David. We had some wonderful times together while I was on the staff, and I've continued to do so, and we appreciate you so much. There's so many things that I could talk about here, but I want you to know that I was thinking about a story that I was going to tell on David this morning. And lo and behold, there was a voice that came over the PA system this morning. And I was going to talk about a voice that he heard out on the golf course. Now, those of you who are familiar with Fairway Oaks Golf Course, you know hole number 16? It's the water hole. And most fellows who played that hole put down an old ball because it may go in the water. And one day David was standing there and had put down an old ball, and there was a voice that came out of the blue that said, "Put down a new ball." And David was startled, but he put down a new ball. Then the voice said, "Take a practice swing." And David took a practice swing, and the voice said, "Take another practice swing." And David took another practice swing. And then the voice came and said, "Put down the old ball."
I was there that day and he hit the old ball in the water. I first met David 50 years ago on the campus of McMurray University. It's called McMurray College at that time. He was perched up in the top of a mesquite tree and he was hooting like a Kiva bird. And a couple of Sundays ago I got to tell him that he never had improved. He was still doing it the same way. You know, that day I saw him up there, and the next day then I saw Richard Payne, and he was in the same tree hooting, and I thought, if the Southern Baptists don't eat us up, these guys are going to get us. David came to Abilene 9 years ago, and 9 years ago I think our family went through one crisis after another. My whole family shares my love of David and Wanda Hamblin. They held our hand, they propped us up, and they led us through the path. We will never, never, ever forget how much he meant to us during those times. We love you. We're gonna throw dirt and kick on you whenever we get a chance, but we love you to death. We appreciate you. We're real happy that you're in good health and going to get to enjoy several more years of good quality life. Thank you for coming to Abilene.
Thank you.
I told Rob I couldn't do this, but I cannot let the opportunity pass to let you know what he's really like. I want you to know he is not a man of his word. The day that we sat at First Methodist Lubbock and he asked, was it just this conference or was I really about to die because I was in such a state? And he found out that we were in fact looking to move. He said, let me make a few phone calls. And I said, the only way I'll come to St. Paul is if you promise me we will not have annual conference there. It had been a really bad conference. We were electing delegates. We're not kind to each other when we elect delegates. And so he said, oh, that's fine. Yeah, we worked that out. And I said, the other thing is, do you have Dr. Pepper in the Coke machine? Better than that, there'll always be Dr. Peppers in the refrigerator. One week there were Dr. Peppers. In 8 years, 1 week there were Dr. Peppers in the refrigerator. Since then, now and then he's bought one, but it's out of my own pocket. Well, he didn't even keep his word one day. He went to the floor of the conference the very next day and invited all those people down here. And I came anyway. I'm not sure why, but I'm glad I did. I have one funny story to tell you. I'm not one to lose my temper, but when I do, it's really, really bad. And we have been having a great deal of difficulty with computers, and you understand, David's my computer teacher. And I had done absolutely everything he ever told me to do. And I went to him and I said, David, it still won't work. And he huffed in there and says, well, if you do so and so and so and so, it will work. As though a chimpanzee could run this computer. You know, that's the way I took it. Made me so mad, I had to leave the building. When I get that mad, I clean house. And while I'm cleaning, I work through my feelings so that I don't say something I'll regret. So I'm home and I'm cleaning house like crazy. Bob comes home from work, opens the door and says, oh, what have I done? So after that, they sort of check signals with each other to see which one was in the doghouse. If they had a really clean house, they knew one of them was in the doghouse. I can't thank you enough, David, for being my mentor and my friend, my encourager, and most of all, for giving me the freedom to be me and to do the kind of ministry that we dream together. God bless you both.
Well said.
In 70 years, I've heard many speeches, I've attended many sermons, I've been to many universities, and David Hamblin is the only preacher, the only speaker that I can ever remember that I didn't check my watch to see when he was going to finish.
I've been waiting for 5 or 10 years to do this.
9
9. I've been waiting 9 years. Everybody's heard about David's golf, and all sorts of stories go around about David's golf. But I tell you, a lot of you probably don't know what avid readers both David and Wanda are. And since I have this steady supply of books coming in for free and tapes, they like to come over every once in a while and see what's new. Well, if you think it's hard to play golf with a preacher, it's even harder to censor these books and decide whether you want him to have them or not. And so I found out pretty quick after going on the golf course with him a couple times that it didn't make any difference. He had read all that language and heard it before. Wanda I still worry a little about, but she's pretty broad-minded too. But it is difficult in today's climate to find decent books to pass on to your children or to preachers or to anybody else. But I want you to know, David, that we have enjoyed being able to do this for you two people, and I expect that now we might even see more of it in our book department. Thank you very much.
I think all of you know I've been around St. Paul for a long, long time. Quit nodding down here. David is the 5th preacher that I have worked for here at St. Paul Church. I worked for Ed Landreth for a brief time, then for Earl Hamblin, then John Donahoe, and then Frank Charlton. So I thought all that was through, and I went back into radio and television and was enjoying life, but finally retired there. And David called and said, I want you to come talk to me, and I did. He said, I want you to go to work for St. Paul Church, and I said, oh no. And but he said, no, this is in a different relationship, and it was. But you've heard a lot about his golfing. But I don't think you've heard anything about his fishing. He is a fisherman. If you don't believe it, we made him into one. We got him out. I took him out, and we really had quite a day. As far as he's concerned, I think it's the best day he's had, and I think it's the best day that I've had. But I just want you to know, David, that I have enjoyed being on the staff here so much, and being with you particularly. Thank you.
Sure if I wanted to come up here or not, because I wasn't sure quite what I was going to say. But I think that I know what I'm going to say. As Ava said, you don't know everything that goes on behind the scenes, and Dr. Hamblin gets to see that more than anyone else, and has to see the staff and rejoice with us in our glories and suffer with us through our mistakes. I came on staff in August of '93. Wasn't sure quite how I was going to do things with the youth, but knew I had to make some steps. Well, within the first 3 months, we were in the kitchen one night, and we were baking cookies. And a flour fight ensued, and we covered the entire kitchen with flour. And we worked all night to try to clean it up, and there was flour, and then the next day we vacuumed, we tried everything. And y'all know how fine flour is and how it gets over it, all over everything. Dr. Hamblin didn't say a word. Nothing was said until January at the staff epiphany party. And I received a bag of flour for the epiphany gift. With a note saying, "Do not spread this on the kitchen again." And he laughed with us and let us do that. And that's the kind of person he's been. He's laughed at our mistakes, but he's allowed us to make those mistakes and move on. And I want to thank you for that. I know I've cleaned up Jell-O off the floor, and I've cleaned up flour, and I've cleaned up, Lord knows, everything that youth can create. And he's laughed with us about that. And you've been wonderful, and I know it'll be restful not to have to hear about any of that kind of stuff in about another couple weeks. So thank you, Dr.
While we've got the time, I want to say my thanks to Dr. Hamblin. I came here in August as a freshman at McMurray, not knowing where I was or where I was going to go. And because of a program at McMurray, I was placed here on a volunteer basis working on the staff, helping Kathy Copeland do the newspaper and other communication works. And when Kathy left to be alumni director at McMurray, I went into Dr. Hamlin's office and I said, "Listen, I know you're in a bind here, and I want to help you out." And he was real hesitant at first and said, "I'm going to have to think about it for a while." And the next week he called me in and he said, "We're going to offer you a part-time position up here." Now I'm working here full-time. I have a new light to look forward to when I come here every day to work as a full-time staff member. And so many doors have been opened since Dr. Hamblin entered my life, and I appreciate that so much, because now I have a new school, and I call Hamblin my home now. And all I can say is thank you for everything.
I'm Elton Fuzzy Moore from O'Donnell. My wife, Burley and Bertha Brewer,
are so thrilled to be here to help you celebrate David and Wanda's retirement. We go back a long way. I know you'd never think, by looking at me, that we went back a long way, as young as I am. But we had David at O'Donnell when he was a young preacher. So we're celebrating two ends of this spectrum today, more or less his starting days, and I have the honor to be his lay leader. So what good you've seen of him, I did it. The bad part, he didn't listen. Speaking of golf, he came by my office one day. It was about 33 or 4 degrees Fahrenheit. The two of these, plus a big guy, forcibly took me to play golf. I'm telling them how crazy they were. But we played. David on the 7th hole hit one at, I'd say, 80 degrees. He fell to his knees and said, "Lord, don't touch it, it'll be a 2-stroke penalty."
First time I met Dr. Hamblin, I was a student at McMurray, and my PR class was doing a project for the fall series here with a 0 budget. But we were supposed to do this media blitz and do all this. So we were up there presenting it. Dr. Hamlin's nodding and smiling, and everything's great until we get to the part of how much it would cost. And we say, and that's going to cost you $15,000. It was a hypothetical thing. And he just crossed his arms and leaned back. It was kind of scary as a student, but then he hired me anyway as director of communication here. And one of the things, actually he said this more than once, was, why don't you rethink that? And anybody on staff, I'm sure, has heard that more than once. Let's rethink that. But he stuck with us anyway, and I wish you could rethink your retirement because we're going to miss you. But one thing Dr. Hamblin said to me once was, so often in life, it's not what we want to do that we end up doing, but what circumstances dictate. And I know that it's time to retire, but we're really going to miss you. And I appreciate all you've done and all the encouragement you've given Christopher and I. Thank you.
I really didn't come here to speak on the speaker, but I thought you needed to hear from Littlefield, Texas. You may have had the best 9 years, but we got the kids. You know those PKs that you hear so much about? Well, one of them, my daughter, 20 years ago, that went to school with Patty, wanted to come so badly that we all came. So here we are, Patty. David and Wanda's family have been very special to a lot of us in Littlefield for many years, and I'll get emotional. They not only were God-loving, but they were fun-loving, and I think that's what captured our hearts along with the God-loving. They were lots of fun. And this doctor business just drives me crazy. We knew him before the doctor, and he's come a long ways. But anyway, it's good to be here, and we still get to share and build his son and their son's life and watch their kids grow in Littlefield. And it's a real joy and pleasure to be a part of your retirement. We love you.
Mark Wyatt from Putnam Methodist Camp. This church, though, I feel a part of. And David Hamblin, certainly I feel that he's a part of Putnam Methodist Camp. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to, I've thanked him a number of times for all the things that he's done for our camp. And I do want to let the church know just how much he has meant to us and to the progress at Putnam in the past few years. I came there about the time he came here, just about a year later. But we even go back further than that. And he was even my district superintendent at one time when I was the chairman of the board in Levelland. So we went through some bumpy roads there. But David is a special person and a special friend. And I just wanted the church to know how much I appreciate him. Thank you.
Now's your chance. Richard Hartman, who is chairman of our administrative board, has a presentation to make at this time.
Need Dr. and Ms. Hamblin to come up at this time. Dr. Hamblin, Ms. Hamblin, not only have you been an impact and an inspiration to our church, but also our community. The TTRC gave the members of St. Paul an opportunity to contribute to a retirement fund for you. And at this time, it gives me pleasure to present you a check for $10,850. I don't think I can say it.